Hey guys, Matt LaRosiere here with Firearms Policy Coalition, bringing you another weekly update, just to make sure you have all of the latest information on everything affecting your right to keep and bear arms. First up this week, Philly sues Pennsylvania. It's a lawsuit brought by the city of Philadelphia against the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Philly is claiming that the city is suffering from gun violence because the Pennsylvania government won't let it write gun control laws. The laws that Philadelphia would write include gun permit requirements, gun rationing, and red flag laws, of course. First of all, none of those things would have an impact on violence in Philadelphia. The problem there is organized crime and emphatic enforcement of drug laws. They're not interested in actually fixing that problem. After all, once that violence is dried up, what would their platform be? Second, the authority of Pennsylvania to prevent localities from writing their own gun laws was settled in two cases, Ortiz v. Commonwealth and Schneck v. Commonwealth. Even Giffords acknowledges the Pennsylvania court's decisions on their website. The lawsuit is totally without merit, and it's just an attempt to capitalize on a hot topic immediately before an election. Besides, we're already fighting a legal battle over the same issue with Pittsburgh, so maybe the city of Philadelphia should just sit down and take a breath. Up next, sanctuary versus red flag. We have some information coming in from Virginia, where it seems that during the first couple months that the state's red flag law was on the books, over half of the state's red flag seizures that occurred happened in so-called Second Amendment sanctuaries. In response to one of these seizures, a police rep from Virginia Beach said in so many words that their police department was guided by the state's laws, not the local government. Okay. Next up, the big kerfuffle. Brace for impact. Earlier this week, the ATF issued a cease and desist letter to Q, the gun company responsible for manufacturing the Honey Badger AR pistol that our director of legal strategy, Adam Kraut, loves so much. Their reasoning is based on its configuration. They think it was intended to be fired from the shoulder and is therefore a short-barreled rifle, making it subject to the National Firearms Act. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You might have heard banter that it's been declared this or that, or that a brace ban is coming, but so far what I've seen at the time of this recording is just an angry letter from the Boston field office. This is a great example of why the ATF should be abolished along with the NFA. Pistol braces have existed for years now, and the ATF has issued opinion letters to multiple manufacturers assuring them that their products will not make firearms NFA items. Now, in arbitrary fashion, this organization of unelected bureaucrats has decided that at least one product is illegal to have without registration. Now, we've been waving the warning flag on this since the Trump administration banned bump stocks. It's time to start acting. Gun owners can't afford to sit idly by while our rights are slowly eroding. Also, let's talk about a more important question. Why the heck are SBRs still regulated anyway? Now, not many people know this, but the only reason that these things, short-barreled rifles, are regulated so heavily is because the NFA was originally designed to effectively ban these handguns, ordinary handguns. But after so many negotiations and backroom deals, the handgun ban and regulations dropped off of the books. But SBRs and SBSs stayed regulated. Now, why were they put on there in the first place? Well, because the idea was if we're going to get rid of handguns, we don't want people to just take rifles and cut them down and make concealable weapons to get around the handgun ban. That's right. For all this time, we've been putting up with stupid regulations on adorable little rifles like this to prevent an end run around a ban that never existed. And yet, here we are, fighting about whether it's a stock or not. This is stupid, so is the law. We need to throw it in the garbage. On to even more infuriating news. Swalwell swelling again. Eric Swalwell, aka Discount Duke Nukem, who happens to look exactly like Garfield's dad, look it up, is at it again. This week, he wrote an op-ed where he once again claimed that we would all be safer once our communities are free from weapons of war. I mean, it's almost like he's coordinating talking points with the DNC, or maybe Joe Biden plagiarized it. Who knows? In the article, Swalwell talks about the assault weapons bill he rolled out this year, which is more aggressive than the '94 ban, but there's one glaring item that kind of makes you think that maybe he's not being sincere. Police would be exempt from his assault weapons ban. Now, if you're going to argue through one side of your face that police are responsible for committing atrocities on the citizenry and that they can't be trusted to enforce the law fairly and responsibly, you shouldn't then argue that they should be the ones out there having weapons of war. On top of that, the police are some of the only people who get to easily play with brand new manufactured machine guns, and who are the majority of murderers that are convicted with registered machine guns? All right, cops. Over to North Carolina, a flash in the cab. On Tuesday, the North Carolina Court of Appeals had to correct a lower court's decision on a criminal conviction, sending the case back to be retried. The issue? The lower court convicted a defendant for possessing 3 weapons of mass death and destruction. These WMDs were actually flashbangs. Now, I don't know what's more troubling, the fact that the defendant was convicted for mere possession of non-lethal noise-making devices, or the fact that the court accepted the argument that they were mass casualty devices. We can probably safely assume that the police in North Carolina probably use flashbangs from time to time. So again, why was this court, prosecutor, and jury okay with cops walking around with WMDs? In lighter news, football man gun charge has been dropped. We have an update on Ken Williams, professional sportsman of the New York Jets. His felony gun charge from earlier this year has been dropped. If you'll recall, Williams was charged for having an unlicensed handgun when it was discovered in LaGuardia Airport in New York City back in March. Well, it's great news that the charges were dropped. They never should have been filed to begin with. There's probably more the result of fame and public pressure. If the state thought it wasn't right to charge Mr. Williams for this crime, maybe they should also reconsider, prosecuting thousands and thousands of other normal people who have been arrested for merely passing through the airport on connecting flights or due to unplanned flight rerouting. Last up this week, 2A and 4A case relisted by the SCOTUS. We have an important gun rights case being relisted by the Supreme Court. This means the court will reconsider hearing the case over the next term, not necessarily that they will hear it. The case is called Rodriguez v. City of San Jose. Rodriguez is a gun owner who was brought in by the San Jose police for a temporary mental health hold. When they came to get him, they entered his family home and seized firearms and related property. Rodriguez's wife said that she wanted to keep the property in her possession, but the police refused. Of course, once Mr. Rodriguez was free, he and his wife petitioned the city for the return of his property, and they've been fighting them ever since. This case matters because the Supreme Court's opinion will have an impact on the future of red flag laws and on the right of the government to enter our homes and take our stuff. Best of luck to the Rodriguez family. Well, that's all I've got for you this week. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to know more, check out fbcnews.org, where you can find this week's edition and information on all of our legal and legislative efforts. If you think this content would be important to anyone you know, help us spread the word and tag them down in the comments. I really appreciate seeing you guys do this. You're the best. Also, be sure to check out fpcgear.com, where you can get all kinds of cool Pro 2A gear like this shirt and help keep us in the fight in the process. As always, keep your eyes on Firearms Policy Coalition, where we're keeping up the fight for all of your rights all the time. I've been Matt LaRosiere, and I'll see you real soon.